Hi viewers, I welcome you all to this Programming World channel. So in this channel already we created three playlists for learning C, C++ and Java programming languages. And weekly we posting videos to make you to learn the programming elements in different languages such as C, C++ and Java and easily. So in that same perspective, we are, in this video, uh, I'm going to discuss about the concept function overloading in C++ programming. Okay, now we go to the concept. What is the meaning of function overloading and how it can be implemented in C++ programming language. So what is the exact meaning of function overloading in a sense? Actually, it is one of the type of polymorphism concept what it was discussed already in the title under object-oriented programming concepts. So, what is meant by polymorphism? So, it is what the ability of objects can play more than one role in different scenarios, or we can say in different situations. So, the functions overloading it is uh, it is a type of polymorphism actually. So how it can be done in the sense the functions can have the same name, but the signatures of the functions could be different. Okay, the same function name, but it can have different arguments. For an example, we may have the people in the same name, but their characters may be different. You know that actually. Okay, their functions also different. If you take bikes, okay, you can find different models of bikes, but their name may be same, but their I mean the specifications may be different. Okay, so like that in programming we can have the same name for different functions, but how those could be differentiated in the sense we can use different number of arguments, or we can use different types of arguments. Okay, so with the help of that you can able to access the functions according to the need. So functions overloading, so it is what kind of polymorphism is. Actually it is known as what compile time polymorphism or early binding or static polymorphism, because the compiler it can able to identify what kind of function has to be executed with the help of the signatures what is provided in the program. Okay, so for an example, you have a function. Okay, so here I would like to show that example what I have it in my code. You see, so here you can find, you see, int add and also float add. These are all the two different member functions are implemented in a class, and those are executed by calling them with the help of the object. So the signature here you can find it 10 comma 2, that is about what integer number, whereas when you give like add of 10.5 f comma 2.5 f, it is about what calling the float function. So with the help of the signature, the compiler can able to match what kind of function has to be executed. So it is already prepared when we compile our program. So that's why we call it as what actually compile time polymorphism. Okay, or early binding. Early binding in the sense before executing the program, the functions calling that will be matched with the corresponding functions to be executed. And it is also known as static polymorphism. Why? Because it is completely what linked in the compile time itself. Okay, so before executing the program, it is the function call statement, it is what linked with the function which has to be executed. So what happen is it is what a static one. So whenever we execute the same program, the link would not be changed. The link connections what has to be given between the calling and also function definition, that would be same, that would not be changed. So that's why it is known as what static polymorphism. Okay, right. So what about the advantages of using this function overloading? As I told you, it is one of the type of polymorphism to provide the different roles to the objects. Okay. Then what is the exact use? Because it is okay implementing the polymorphism concept, but apart from that, what kind of benefits we can enjoy from that? So very important one is the developers can able to identify the function and also the parameters what to be used to execute. Okay, so it is about what making our library of functions in the same name, and with the help of the role and also the scenario, we can identify the number of arguments or types of arguments to be passed to the function to execute the required task. So it improves the readability of the code. Okay, so if you have different functions name for the same type of operation, it could be somewhat more difficult. Just now I shown in my example also, like add like that. We have two functions, so easily you can able to identify. Add means what, we adding two numbers. Okay, so with the help of the same function name, so anyone can able to understand what is the exact role of the particular function. Okay, so that's why we go with the word function overloading, which improves the readability of the code. So whatever enhancement or features we want to add, that could be done according to the function where we want to make the modifications. Okay, I would like to show the syntax of it. Okay, so already I shown my example, but here you can see the syntax. So you can have function one in a name like function underscore name, and also it's having what different types of arguments. In the same way, we have function two, which has what function name of different number of arguments. Okay, so that could be what having the same kind of operations, but those are working on different types of arguments. So here you can see an example. So function one, it is for what, adding two integer values. So I given the exact signature what we have for that function. Int add of int x comma int y, and it returns what, x plus y. And function 2, it is what doing, it is adding two float values. So float add float x comma float y, and it returns the addition of x plus y, but it takes only what, float value, and it returns the result in what, float. Okay, so now I would like to show the execution of this model. So here I have taken a class like arithmetic. So there we can have different kinds of arithmetic operations in terms of member functions. But actually for demonstrating this function overloading, I have taken addition and multiplication to help you to understand what is the exact meaning of this function overloading. So here I don't want to have any attributes. Okay. So because here the role of functions are what, actually taking the values and also return the results. That's all. Okay, so here you can see that I have one function, that is what, int add of int x comma y, that is what function one style. So it takes two integer values and also it returns what, the addition of those two values. And also I have what, suppose if I want to add two float values, then no worries about that. So simply you see I can go with that, with this float add of float x comma float y. So it returns what, float of, sorry, return x plus y. In the same way, I have what, I want to multiply two values. So one is I want to multiply integer values, and suppose I want to multiply the float values also. Accordingly, I have what, unique functions. Okay, individual functions which can perform the multiplication operation as per the types of values which is supplied to the function. So here you can see that in the main function, I created the object for the class arithmetic, and I just what, calling the functions in the cout statement to display the results what's happening. Okay, so you can see that op dot add of 10 comma 2. So that's about what, adding two integer numbers. So what happened is a compiler that will match this call to this function. In the same way, you see the next function we have like next statement we have op dot add. So that's about what, adding two flat float values. So the compiler that will link to this function. Then in the same way we have what, op dot multiply, that for what, multiplying two integer values. So this function will be linked to that line. In the same way, when this statement is what, compiled automatically, this member function will be linked to that function to execute. So finally, if we execute that, what happens is you can see that I'm going to compile that. So during the compilation itself, the function call statement will be linked to what function executions, whichever given in our classes. So here you can see that addition of two integers, so 10 plus 2, that is what 12, and addition of two floats value like 10.5 plus 2.5, that is what 13, and multiplication of two integers, that is what actually 10 comma 220, and when you go for what multiplying two float values such as 10.5 comma 2.5, we get 26.25. Okay, so here you can see that all functions are what actually doing task according to the arithmetic operations. You can see that these two functions doing what adding two numbers, but actually function one it is perform addition on integer values, and function two it is perform addition on float values. In the same way, these two functions are working for what multiplication, and when you supply two integer values, so this function which works on what to those two integer values to multiply them, and this function which works for what multiplying two float values. So that's all about this actually. Okay, so function overloading, it is about what compile time polymorphism, where the same function's name can be used. You can see that actually here you see I have used the same function name for these two functions, but their arguments are different. Here two arguments are integer, here two arguments are in float. So you can have any different combinations actually, and also you can have different number of arguments also. Like you suppose if you want to perform three integer values addition, then you can have one more also, like int add of int x comma then int y comma then int z. Okay, so that could be given finally like return x plus y plus z. So when you supply three arguments, what happens is this function will be executed. I just want to show that demonstration. Okay, so addition of three integers. So what happened is I'm giving like 20 comma 30. So now if you compile and execute that, you can see that. So that function, I mean the new function what we have added for adding three integers, that will be executed. So you can see the result now, addition of three integers. So that gives what 10 comma 20 comma 30, that gives the result like 60. Okay, so like that. Okay, so with the help of a different number of arguments and also different types of arguments, you can differentiate the function which are having the same name. But one thing that here the function name which is given for what, those are doing the same kind of operation. Here you can see that addition, here also you can see the addition. Okay, so likewise if you have any functions to implement in your class library, that you can I mean function overloading concept you can prefer to have very good readability, and also in future also you can able to improve it. I hope you people understand about this function overloading. So please post your comments also after seeing my video, and if anything you want to add, please let me know. I will post such videos also to help you to learn the programming concepts. Uh, I request the new viewers, please subscribe to this channel to see the new videos whenever get posted. Thank you for watching this. Thank you all.